Here we go. All right, our first guest, live on the stream. Who have we got here? Luca. Hello. Join us. Come in. Would you like a beer? There's beers in the fridge. And as the first guest, there's also some non-alcoholic drink that I found as well too. Oh, you brought your own drinks. That's pretty amazing. Come on, sit down. Come here, sit down.
Yeah, sit down. There's another mic there.
Yes.
Okay.
Grab the mic.
What are we talking about?
Well, we're just talking about Bitcoin Cash, obviously.
Okay.
The conference, how did you find the talks today?
The talks, they were very interesting, especially two events. And first one, I believe it was the Go Crypto announcement. And what they're doing, I kind of want to see how it turns out. Because right now, although you can read 100% adoption on BCH adoption, that's pretty far from truth. If I have to put it in a number for what I've been seeing and talking to the locals and everything, last night we talked to someone who managed the energy supply in the area. And we actually talked about Bitcoin Cash and why we were here, and we checked again if something kind of like mass adoption was going on here. He knew what Bitcoin Cash was because it's pretty difficult to ignore if you move around, because you are gonna see a few stickers, you're gonna see, these ads and all kind of cool stuff. The Buddha bar is pretty hard to ignore if you're
Yeah.
as well.
It's pretty sick. For people who don't know, there's a bar with a giant green neon Bitcoin Cash sign on it. Like it's actually massive, and you're just driving past, you see it straight away, especially at night.
Yeah, something pretty, I don't know, aesthetic, I would call it, because that part is like well managed, and something that is also recording. The audio still coming through. Start streaming.
Right.
Fingers crossed.
Okay, are we back on?
Not yet. It's connecting. My CPU is not nearly as stressed right now. So, and we are live.
Okay, nice. We'll just confirm with the chat, the gods, the internet gods. Commercial. Oh, rip. Unlucky. It's the ads on Twitch coming. You need ad blocker. Otherwise, yeah. What kind of ad would it be? God of War. Da da da. The best video game.
Yeah, if we run ads, it'll stop pre-roll ads. But someone's got to see an ad.
Someone's got to see an ad. Well, whatever. You got an ad. Unlucky. Bitcoin collab. Can we get live stats as well too? Now you're back. All right. Okay. Cool. Well, we're back at it, and hopefully that stream. How's the stream looking? Is it dropping out? We're good.
No drop frames yet. 2,000 kilobytes per second, which is a good sign. 60
All right.
frames. We're good.
Okay, we're good to go.
Was I talking to no one?
For a little bit, but I guess. But it's all good.
I got the recording on it.
Okay. All right. So we got the INR system. They're paying people in. So now you can spend BCH at 60 million merchants in India, right?
Oh, yeah. That case in India. Although, of course, it's just like something that will happen with BCH, which is big, and it's big because of the content, the context in which it's happening, which is this, this big financial system in India that everyone is using, everyone. So that it's not something like, okay, so now BCH is completely accepted in India because actually it needs this traditional system in order to work. It's like,
But apparently that system is everywhere. That's what they were saying. That was like straight up street merchants and Starbucks and very quiet. Scream.
it's cool. Like the idea and doing this, like what they did it's a great idea. Still, not peer-to-peer cash.
Yeah, but the thing is, because when you said before, like, what percentage of it is the adoption, you said like 5%. I was thinking about this last night. I thought maybe like you could say like 20%, but I think it depends how you measure the percent. If you measure the percentage of the island that the people own Bitcoin Cash, it's probably 5% or less. But what about a merch? If you say businesses, right? Then maybe even you could say 5% because you said you were talking to one of the energy suppliers, and like there's so many businesses that are not retail shops. So I think that's a different category. If you did just retail shops, at least with the ones I've seen, I would say it's got to be 20%. It's more than 20% here in this area, right?
The island is a lot bigger than most people think. Actually,
Yeah.
I think for myself.
Yeah.
Actually, the first day we came here, we were like, okay, this is a relatively small island. We can walk around, and actually, it turned out to be not the greatest idea, but actually, it was pretty revealing at the same time because we walked like for 2 hours and we saw around, and eventually we were trying to get to the port, to the place where you can see in the map that there's a lot of adoption and a lot of stickers going around, but to get there we needed to, because we were walking and we cannot took the wrong path to put it in a way. We got to see a big part of the island in which there are tons of merchants. Actually, most merchants are in this area, which is kind of downtown here, and that's where most of the commercial activity that is not tourism is going on. And if you go around, you are rarely gonna see a Bitcoin Cash sticker, and we try to pay for a cab and to pay for an ice cream and a few more things, and Bitcoin Cash was kind of something new and many people still didn't hear about it, and so you're gonna find a lot of it seems like there's a lot of adoption if you only move inside of the
little Bitcoin Cash ecosystem. Yeah,
that is pretty kind of fixed around a certain area, and the taxis are never going to deviate from that road. So
yeah,
many things that the tourists will never see while being inside kids, and we only saw it out of a mistake because we tried to get to one place walking and we took it the wrong path, and we saw a lot more of this place than we were supposed to see.
Yeah, but I think even that I still find very encouraging because I agree with you. Like, when I came, I was like, okay, everywhere was what it was sort of promised, like 50% of the merchants on the island, at least. And like once you get to 50%, it would snowball to 100% pretty fast if it was genuinely 50%, because everywhere else would be like, why aren't we a part of this? But the places that we did go to, unlike in other places where you might go and they have a merchant and the merchant has a sticker but they've forgotten, even here, if they were like, we have to sort out the tablet or something, they would still go through with, like, you could still walk them through it and get it done. So they were still keen for it and they were already bought into the idea, at least, I think.
The good thing about it is that everyone who is already on board, they are like on board probably for life, because it's already easy for them as it is for us. So it's like no going back now. It's like I already discovered the email. I'm not gonna send letters anymore. So that's for sure.
Yeah.
And it's pretty easy to use for them, and that's cool to see, because you never know how other communities in different countries and different cultures are going to react to the technology. We came from Argentina, so technology is kind of still like everything is kind of new and like 5 years behind, and so but we still managed to see.
We're getting a laugh over here in the corner. That's obviously true.
Still one of the freest countries in the world, I want to say.
Yeah.
So yeah, seeing that here is at some point, maybe not today, but at some point, I'm pretty sure that the island is going to be covered with Bitcoin Cash, and people are going to use it. And after the legal tender announcement, which is set up for 2023, I believe, kind of, it's going to be easy to make contracts that are like legally protected. I'm too much of an anarchist to talk about all that thing, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna have some effect, and it's gonna make people look at Bitcoin Cash in a different way, and at least look at it, because if it's gonna be made legal tender here, it's gonna be in the news, so many people are gonna be exposed to it, and they're gonna start trusting on something like that. It's gonna be okay, this is not a scam, because otherwise the government wouldn't take it, although El Salvador did. But we know how that works. Actually, this is voluntarily taken as tender, so I guess that could actually have some effects. I don't know if it directly for adoption, but at least for how would I call it, credibility, I guess.
Can I hop in here?
Yeah. Get all right. Jett, jump in here.
So I definitely I feel I'm a little too anarchist for this, for sure, through and through. But I think they framed it when they were like, okay, when they were framing it in, it's this versus CBDCs. I was like, okay, no matter what, we're gonna get screwed. So at least this way we have some influence. We're going out on a dinner date first before we're getting screwed, right? And I would much rather be using Bitcoin Cash knowing that I have the option if I want to opt out of the system than to be forced to use CBDCs and not have that opportunity.
And it was actually very interesting to see this parliament guy talking so vividly about CBDCs and how dangerous they are.
I actually, in my notes here, give me 1 second. Yeah, just watch that we don't pull the... Yeah. So, the CBDCs equals trash. And I loved that was on his meme. I was like, okay, this guy's on our team then. Alright. Yeah, you can have that back. I'm going to go back to my spot.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that was one of the interesting things, because it's all running in parallel, basically, right? So there's the merchant adoption and the stickers and people paying, like maybe that's a small kind of stream of things going on, but then at the same time you have the sort of stream of public awareness, which is that everybody's seeing the stickers, or maybe they see a tourist paying with Bitcoin Cash or whatever. You have that going on. Then you have the debates in Parliament, and you have the legislation and whatever. And then you also have Bitcoin Cash in the entire world happening sort of separately. So what that means is then there's just slowly increasing chances that by accident, somebody who is in the US and just likes Bitcoin Cash and has some, then they show up to St. Kitts and they weren't aware that it was going on here, and then they see the signs around and they're like, wow, that's cool. And so it can build that way. And I really like the point that when you're in the city, in the port, where a lot of the merchant adoption already is, that's where all the tourists are getting off the cruise ships. So if they can do a deal with those cruise ship companies, and then, like they were saying, maybe they would have a cashback program or a rewards token or something, so that people come in, because you can see from where all the BCH shops are, you can see the cruise ship. So it literally could be that you're coming to the cruise ship, and then right before they get off, they just make an announcement. By the way, Bitcoin Cash has a promotion going on, and it's all here. If you want to try it, download a wallet. Maybe you just give us some money and we send you $10 or something, and if you spend it somewhere, you get it a reward or a free lobster dinner or something. I don't know.
Yeah, advertising as well. It's what that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can get many businesses to adopt Bitcoin Cash, but it could happen as is going on in Buenos Aires. In Buenos Aires, there are probably more merchants than here taking Bitcoin Cash, but they are distributed all along a big city, and there's a lot of commercial action going on there, so it's pretty easy to ignore that maybe some business has a Bitcoin Cash sticker. But here, in these kind of places that are smaller, it's a lot easier to get saturation, and to get it noticed, like, okay, there's a Bitcoin Cash stickers, and there's a Bitcoin Cash sticker, and there's a big sign, and it's a lot easier to create that idea that, okay, this is being used around the island, and everyone knows about it. And so when you arrive here as a tourist, yeah, it's definitely the first thing you're gonna see. Actually, in the airport, there's a big sign.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. Every single person that walks in is going to be thinking, "What is Bitcoin Cash?" Like, you can't, like, maybe because I just notice in people like that I know that passive exposure just builds up, right? Because crypto is just crypto overall, and then Bitcoin Cash specifically here is just becoming harder and harder and harder to ignore. It's gone from a fringe thing, oh, look at that thing, to it just exists. It's not apologizing for itself. It's it's not asking for permission. It's like how technology always works. It's slowly just intruding almost into people's lives until they just wait. This is just a normal. The whole it's drug dealers and scammers and whatever. Like, that's just getting washed away by people just seeing it over and over and over and over again. They just get used to it.
Yeah, and at some point it's also gonna be, this calling something like Bitcoin Cash a scam or Bitcoin trash and all that stupid thing they say. It's gonna get old as well. Like saying that Bitcoin Cash, BTC is going to the moon and store of value is like, at some point it's meaningless, And in the real world and what people is actually doing is actually, in the long term especially, it's the strongest argument. So
yeah, well, I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, you can dress things up with a lot of bullshit, but at the end of the day, people get down to brass tacks and they have to actually spend it, and they have to see someone making transactions before they will be convinced. And
yeah, especially when Lightning networks or all these solutions that are supposed to work in favor of mass adoption of Bitcoin, as they say, or the idea of
Streams down. Oh. Come on, baby. We're back.
We're back, yeah.
Yeah, so yes, as I was saying.
What's up with the internet and the bugs there, Bitcoin Color Bus? Well, probably a couple of things. One is that we're just streaming off the Wi-Fi. Like, I guess we don't have a Ethernet connection, but that should be fine. Like, Wi-Fi these days is pretty good. But I guess it's just a lot to handle like streaming out video to the world, I guess.
I didn't try to stream with it, so I don't know. I don't know how YouTube works, and that's it.
Yeah, I haven't. While I've been here, I haven't actually been spending time, watching YouTube videos. So I don't even know if I'd be getting buffering issues or what.
I'm not sure. It's very confusing. At times when I'm in the room, I'm just go to the backyard and
it just dies.
The signal goes to zero.
Yeah.
Like 1 meter.
Just even on the stack out here at lose signal.
Yeah, it's pretty weird.
Yeah, and I've kind of had the same thing happen with the SIM card. So we got a SIM card to use on the island, right? And like with that, some of the time it's great, and you're just walking around and you're just wherever and you can just use the internet. And then sometimes you get somewhere and just suddenly a couple steps later and it just drops out to nothing.
Doesn't the SIM card mess up with your phone in any way? Like your contacts or something like that?
No, it's fine. Well, I'm lucky because my phone can have 2 SIM cards. So I can still have my British one and also have this one.
Okay.
But either way, my phone doesn't, I don't think it stores my contacts on the SIM. It just stores it somewhere else. Because if you swap out the SIM card, I still have all my contacts, I think. I don't know how that works, actually. That's a very good question, but
anyway, I heard a fun fact about this island, and it was especially for tourism. We talked to a cop in the boulevard.
Yeah.
Who approached us and told us, "Is that food spicy?" And we told him, "Yeah, it's spicy." And he told us that they only sell spicy food to tourists because the locals don't like spicy food.
Don't eat it. So he knew that you were a tourist because you're getting into the spicy wings or whatever. Yeah.
Kind of.
It's a trick question. If anyone asks you again, you say no.
You say no. It's bland. I'm a local. And that's how they. There's a name for that. It's called Babylishkin or something. There's a word for it because there's a story in the Bible about these certain people who couldn't pronounce like S or something, and so they would ask them, "Are you from this city?" And they would say back, "Yes, I'm from like Babylishka or whatever it is." And if they couldn't say it, they knew that was one of those guys and that they were like trying to find, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, anyway, I can't remember what the name of it, but there's a certain like biblical story about that. Let's see, what is it? Max Hastings? Max, get in here. Where are you, mate? I'm waiting for MP Bryson and Sonny to barge into this. Well, we're waiting for you to barge into this, mate. But
they posted in the group chat. They were like, Bryson was like, "Sonny, come on, let's go." Before we go to the booth."
Oh, okay.
Said room 3.
Okay, they're gonna come in and hit us up and tell us what's going on. That would actually be sick, but I hope they do. The announcement though, like the whole thing with, like you said, is 2023 for legal tender. So the announcement that they said was, well, we're gonna do like, what is it, like it was so quick I almost missed it. It was like an investigation into launching it. It wasn't we're gonna make it legal tender by 2023. It was like,
we would like to, but we need to get all the legal process.
yeah. But who knows whether that means they like do a report and they come out with a report in March saying like, we looked into it and blah blah blah, it needs another 6 months or it needs another year. It's not going to happen.
I barely know something about Argentine politics. I'm pretty far away from knowing it and how things work here. But in general, with the conference as it's going right now, I'm more excited about what's going with BCH as a whole, you know, like worldwide and you know, the general protocols with NEH and all that. It's like it kind of feels like it's the start of something really mind-blowing.
Yeah, the start of the revolution. Well, and that's why coming here has been amazing, because this is a hotspot, but it's not the only one. Like you're saying, we have you here from Argentina, we have the Townsville guys, we had Ryan talking about in Florida, like there's a lot of on-the-ground adoption. In Slovenia, there's a bit, and then sort of some of the tech stuff, like the general protocols stuff, or like the wallet teams, or like what's going on in India, like that stuff is exportable. It doesn't matter where in the world that it's happening. It can feed into the areas where the on-the-ground adoption is strong, right?
And it also makes pretty clear what kind of people are participating in the global community and what kind of minds do we have. Lucky for us, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and that's like, size is not always size. To quote, your size is not size, you know. Whatever Do Kwon said, right? Like, it doesn't matter. I'm way more confident in the BCH community than in the BTC community or even the Ethereum community or anything. Like, they have a lot of hype and they have a lot of people doing a lot of stuff, but the fundamentals, like if you track it on a different metric, like when does like getting to a country adopting it as currency, Ethereum's not doing that. What country is going to be like, we're adopting Ethereum?
Yeah,
like that doesn't make any sense.
If you you have to set a goal. If your goal is liberty, freedom, basically, you cannot. As today, you cannot go with Ethereum, because especially after the marriage, you cannot go with Lightning Network as well, because it's pretty easy to centralize and all that problems that Lightning Network has. And most people that promote Lightning networks actually are promoting custodial services. So if you have to set your goal first, so you can find the proper tool. And if your goal is freedom, the best tool you have right now is BCH. If your goal is to make money quickly, I don't know what your best tool is, but if your goal is freedom, I can assure you that having peer-to-peer electronic cash is the best thing you can do.
Yeah, it's about making sure it's like, I can see that because the community is so focused on scalability, if it starts working, I can see it really just like taking off. And now crypto as a whole is so much bigger. So if this becomes the trending thing, then everybody would just start piling in. Like, it's ridiculous. Like back in the day, you'd have the exchanges and all that. They couldn't handle millions of customers or whatever, they would just shut down. But now they've been through, well, sometimes they've blown up along the way. But the ones that are still left, like Coinbase, Binance, or whatever local exchanges, like they can just handle it ramping up so much faster. So I think if it does start kicking off, people will be just like mind blown at how hype it gets, you know?
Yeah. And I believe we still have to see a lot of libertarian adoption of BCH, because still the libertarian I don't know, world
Group, population, I don't know.
population, yeah. You choose the word.
Yeah, what do you call them? The libertarian community, society,
I don't want to call it a community.
ideology.
Yeah, because what I see in the Bitcoin Cash Argentina community, that's a community. If you get on the Telegram group and you get there with a question or a problem, like, people are not gonna be satisfied until your problem is solved. And if you need, I don't know, some coins to pay for fees, I remember when the smart BCH thing was started to going on, many people needed just a few coins to pay for fees, and it will take you like 30 seconds until someone said, yeah, give me your wallet, and they send you $1, so now you have some money.
I see.
And that kind of thing, like, you have a problem with your wallet, with your private key, or something, like whatever it is to use a platform, they're gonna be there to help you out. And I make so many friends in that community, and you have such smart group of people. But the libertarians is also like a bigger concept. It's also less, let's say, less concrete, so you don't know who's actually a part of it. So but still many libertarians have fell into this idea that the best way to get rid of central banks is just to hold BTC in a wallet and don't do anything with it. It's like, how is that a danger for central banks? So dumb. But the narrative is not that simple. It's like it took a few years to build and to push around, and you know, a lot of censorship happened as well in order to establish that narrative as the only one that is valid, and everyone fell for it. And but you know, one little step after the other, more people are seeing the light, and I believe that we still have a lot of libertarians coming into the ecosystem, and you know, after the failure of the store of value, they're gonna see, okay, maybe it is peer-to-peer cash, let's just use it as such, especially with so many examples around the world.
Yeah, but I think it's one of those things that the truth comes out in the end. I truly believe that. Yeah. And it's just the narrative is like, it's like a brick wall in a dam or something. Just water is leaking around the edges, you know, and that just slowly just more and more and more until it just hits a critical mass. And I think you can see that starting to happen. Why? Because with an event like this, it doesn't matter who's online, who's salty, who's blah, 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 blah. Like, the people in that room, obviously a lot of them came for this specifically, but there was quite a few locals and quite a few people who are like interested in what's going on here, and they're seeing it for real. There's no question to them that they can't be told some bullshit and believe it, right?
Speak about the lady that is from St. Martin that wanted to do e-commerce, right?
Yeah, so Jett's pointing out there was a lady who asked a question when MP Bryson talked at the end, and she put her hand up to ask a question, and she said, can you talk to me about e-commerce? Is this, you know, going to help us with that? Because she was trying to run some kind of small online store and whatever, and it just made sense, really, like that, obviously, because it was a bit of a layup for MP Bryson, right?
Other things that
yeah, that's what it was. So she was like, yeah, we don't have PayPal and we can't use Venmo, or the banks are giving us grief or whatever. So if they have people that can pay in Bitcoin Cash, well, then that just puts them. And you know, she said she was really concerned about being on an equal footing. That was what she said. She said, like, I just want to have the same access as everyone else.
Just a chance to compete.
Yeah, well, a chance to compete, but also more that, you know, for somebody who was in America, and they might just take for granted, okay, this, you know, like somebody who's in a disadvantaged position, if they can understand that they're in a disadvantaged position, then that becomes a big cause for them to like, at least, you know, it's not even whether or not I'm doing better or worse than you, but I'm starting with a handicap. Nobody likes that. When you play any board game or anything, if you tell people, okay, you're going to start with negative 200 points, people are like, this is bullshit. Nobody would stand for that, right? But life is like that. It doesn't work that way. Some people are in more or less advantaged positions to begin with. And so when people are in that disadvantaged position, they take it quite to heart. And I think that's what she was expressing, and she could see that there was a chance that Bitcoin, and that's what she said, if Bitcoin Cash can fix this problem for us, then I'm all for it. And it was kind of a call to action that we would actually then get those tools in there.
And lucky for her, the whole e-commerce Bitcoin Cash infrastructure is already built. So
yeah, well, we just need to get it to her. Then it sounds like, and yeah, I don't know, but
prompt, right?
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, I really like prompt. Yeah,
it changes everything, because you know that's the kind of project that I think of when I think about how the Bitcoin Cash ecosystem is developing, because everything seems to be pointed to adoption and make it easy to use, and towards, you know, this idea of a free market that we believe in. And if we keep moving in this direction in the way we're doing it so far, it's like it's imminent and it's gonna be unstoppable. And if we get enough people to see it for what it is, I believe we are condemned to success.
Condemned to success. I love that. We are condemned to success. Well, I mean, that's why the whole legal tender thing I thought was quite interesting, because they said St. Kitts, March 2023 was when they would consider it, and then Roger said, oh, so who's going to get there first? He was obviously trying to create a bit of a dynamic, which is really interesting that we do have actually multiple jurisdictions, because not only is that like increasing the odds that one of them will get there, but it also means that, you know, like that video of that guy who's on that hill and he starts doing this crazy dance and he looks like a lunatic, and then one other guy goes and like dances next to him, and then like it's those first two people that are key, right? Because then the third person is just joining in, and then it just turns into this whole like flutter and everyone's in there, right? So it's like we've already got the two bullets loaded in the chamber, because it was like El Salvador got the adoption, and then everyone else was like, we'll wait and see, and it's kind of crashing and burning a bit. So it got that first one, but it didn't get the second one. And so if we have those two there, and they can get in 2023, St. Kitts or St. Martin, either one gets on board, and then the other one's like, well, why are we left out? And they do it too.
Yeah, especially because once one country starts doing something like that, it actually see the benefits of it, on having a new economy that can be developed under that umbrella, let's say. Many other countries are gonna be like, okay, so we can do that and we're gonna get those benefits. Okay, well, so why not? All we have to do is write a few papers, as the states always do.
Yeah, sign things off, get all the legislators.
And it's basically let things happen. They don't have to do anything. It's just, okay, it's fine now, and things are gonna start off.
It just seems more and more inevitable. I think that's a big part of it. Yeah, just similar to what I was saying before about people just seeing it everywhere, and in their mind it just becomes less and less weird or unlikely. Like, that's how things change in reality. Yeah, you can talk to the chat. So we had Josh said, the biggest news I heard today was the Zapit stuff. So I guess it sounds like he wasn't as impressed with the legal tender. He thought the spending was the bigger news, you know.
Well, I guess.
Is there someone outside? I thought I heard someone. Okay.
Well, the legal tender is still a promise. I guess that's where the Zapit thing is much bigger, because it's kind of happening. So I don't know. I don't know how it's going to develop actually in India, because Ramit also said that people is really happy with, I don't know if happy, but used to, at least, to the system they have right now, because they have zero fees and it's instant and everything else. So they are getting a bit of trouble getting people to actually use Bitcoin Cash. But now they have like they breach it out. It's like they created this path now they can say
Sneaky side path, yeah.
Yeah, but many people that are unbanked now can have access to this system and without actually getting banked, but just using Bitcoin Cash and preserving all the advantages of it, but letting the custodial part to the other side of the equation.
Yeah, well, that's why I think it's really interesting about that, because it solves like half of the problem. It's because you have to send and you have to receive, or the other way around. You have to receive first and then you have to send. So with that, all the sending side is just sorted. So if you are in India, it just comes down to receiving, and you can do that yourself. You can just sign up to an exchange and buy some, and you're ready to go.
You know what? I'm thinking out loud right now, but also people in India, they are like hardcore entrepreneurs. They are like you.
They're very innovative,
You
yeah.
walk 2 meters and you're gonna find a startup. Then you look around, there's another. They're full of young entrepreneurs, and many of these companies are, let's say, developing companies, graphic design, all that kind of stuff, and they work for people all around the world. Especially because in some cases they can give even cheaper prices. And now, if they can take Bitcoin Cash from all around the world and they spend that Bitcoin Cash in any commerce at all, it's like that door is open now.
It's true, actually. I hadn't thought of that, but yeah, the Indian outsourcing market is massive, and that's an area where, because people are always talking about remittances, right? Like, what about sending between countries? That's an area that BCH still has an advantage, and you see that when you're in the Bitcoin Cash community. Like, if I ever need to pay you or anything, like, it's not even a question. It's not the slightest bit. It takes 5 seconds. Like, you just post an address and send, and you just know that it's done, right? So if some more people get the idea of that when they can already spend it, yeah, it sounds like a powerful thing.
And eventually it's like when enough people get used to it, like the other fraction of the population is just falls into it by convenience and by observation, because it's like, oh, I'm having this problem to get this money, and you're gonna have more and more people every day that comes to you and say you can just use this, and it's like more and more people are getting their money problems solved instantly, and it's kind of creating a wave of people that all of a sudden know of the existence of this tool, and there's no going back from that.
And I think like the AnyEdge stuff is going to be absolutely massive, though. It's unreal. I wish I could buy shares. I'm going to have to talk to the team and say, can I well, I guess buying Bitcoin Cash is already basically buying shares in that, because after they had the presentation today, they talked about it in the morning, right? And they sort of got mentioned a bit in the Emergent Reasons talk. And then there was some pushback like, oh, but volatility, how are we going to solve this, blah, blah, blah. But then in the second session, it kind of got reiterated and re-explained when he asked some questions and people like clarified a bit. Roger kind of hyped it up a bit as well too. And then as I was leaving out of there, John said to me, he said, oh, so after that happened, like when we had there was a bit of an intermission, he said everybody was just coming up to him, like all this, but being like, we need this. How do we get this? How do we integrate with this? Like they're onto something massive right there. And as that just takes off, like the price of BCH is going to be ridiculous, because to be on either side, you have to lock your BCH. It's like freezing huge chunks of BCH at a time.
And this guy that works at the energy industry in the area, actually runs the energy industry in the area. He told us of how important edging is for an industry like that, because you cannot sell a barrel of oil at one price today, that maybe the oil until it gets to you need to go, the price is changing, so they're edging all the time. In that kind of industry, is like the fundamental thing that kind of makes it all possible. So now that we have that with Bitcoin Cash, especially for big amounts, now, if is over time where the protocol has enough I don't know, time testing or proof of time or something like that, more businesses with high volume will be able to happen with Bitcoin Cash, as is happening with something with oil, like oil. So it's another big door that is now open. So the more doors that we open, the better it is for everyone.
And what it occurs to me as you're talking about that is that this is not, none of this is quick. Like the Saint Kitts adoption has taken like the better part of a year, which is still fucking blazingly fast, to be honest. But a year is a long time, especially in crypto, and especially when you can get rugged and have your whole ecosystem go to shit halfway through. Hey, B-Chad, good to see you. So you have that element, like that's taken a year, but the NEH stuff, they've been working on that for at least 3 years at this point, right? And that included, we had to do the protocol upgrades, we had to do the bigger script images, and had to do the check data sig and all these things. So if anybody else wants to copy this stuff, it's not like a 5-minute copy and paste. It's all open source, but you can't just copy and paste it and just run it on another chain. You can't do that.
No, and also like all these kinds of projects need a really holistic team, because you can have all the tech stuff really figured out, and then your economics are bad, no, your politics are bad. Like you really need something that covers it all, because otherwise you are gonna have some weak points that can make your entire project fall apart, and people are gonna lose money because of it, and they're gonna be disappointed, and there's gonna be bad news, and you know everything is gonna move slower in the long term if you rush things up in the short term.
Yeah, bad news spreads as well. That's something I was reading about recently. Is like, it wasn't a stat exactly. It was more of just an anecdote. But basically, the idea that if I sell you something and you're really happy with it, chances are good that you will talk to maybe like 2 or 3 people, right? Yeah. But if you come to my business and you have a really bad experience, you know, you want to buy a burger and I give it to you and it makes you food poisoning or something, then you're not going to tell 2 or 3 people, you're going to tell 10 or 20 people, right? So it's like 5 to 10 times as much. People love to spread bad news, right? Yeah. If somebody's happy, they think, oh, great, and then that's it, right? Yeah. Just quietly satisfied. But if they're upset, they really, you know, they get vengeance. They want to go out and complain and everything. And that's what's going to increasingly happen to protocols that can't deliver that high standard, like the Ethereum fees. Everybody knows about it, even if you've never touched Ethereum in your life. Yeah. Everyone who knows anything about crypto knows that Ethereum has high fees because so many people have been burned.
Yeah, especially with projects like Bitcoin Cash, because we don't have any big fund that is, you know, pushing things like JP Morgan and MasterCard and stuff like that. So everything that goes well or not is going to, in the long run, be the main factor, especially for price eventually at the end. Because right now in BTC you can have the highest price you can imagine, and most of the times it doesn't make any sense. It's like just now price went up. Why? Because this big fund bought Bitcoin Cash and this big company is talking about it. It's like, but it's BTC. I'm sorry, BTC. Is BTC better? It's now working properly? Is the Lightning Network being massively adopted? So why is the price going up exactly? It's just because some people bought a lot of it.
Well, they think this FTX stuff, right? People are increasingly like finding that all this money that was crammed into it might have been part of the FTX scheme, basically. Yeah. Now that's all blown out. It's all gone. All the money's gone.
But what that actually tells you is that the BTC's market cap is basically standing on nothing.
Yeah, it's like air. Yeah. It's like a mattress or something. You know, you just push it, it just falls down. It's immediately like, yeah, kind of like a bubble pop. Bang. Yeah. Yeah. And I think, well, what do you think about the market? So let's say 2023, crypto's had a pretty rough year this year. Are things going to turn around next year, or is it going to be a rough year next year?
Yeah, it's so hard to predict because of how many immature agents are participating in the ecosystem? Many times it's like literally 15 years old putting their savings into some meme coin, so there's or NFTs or something like that. It's so many interesting them destined to fail projects going around that only exist to take money away from people by false promises. And it's like, I don't know if at some point it's gonna stop happening and stuff like that, because cryptocurrency and decentralized technologies also allow this kind of, before you cannot get a broker account if you're not, let's say, 18 or 21, depending on the country. So and to get in, you need a minimum amount. So it was pretty difficult. So 15 years old were not playing to be investors, but now they are, because they don't need to be 21 anymore. So they can just download the wallet and start moving coins around and buying stupid coins with their parents' money, and I don't know for how long that's gonna be the case, because that's putting a lot of noise in the ecosystem, and it seems like prices are kind of moving on that way, and it makes it so hard to predict. But all you can say at the end is that the laws of economic are always gonna be there. So it's like eventually this will happen, but I don't know where.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, that's right. It's like Peter Schiff or whatever, gets criticized a lot because he was right about a lot of things, but it takes a very, very long time for his predictions to come true, and then people can just write it off as, well, a broken clock is right twice a day. So if you just predict the same thing for years on end, eventually it comes around and good, but it's not really that much of a prediction if you didn't have a time frame and hit it,
That's why I don't make any predictions. It's just
okay, I won't ask you any more predictions.
I just in the BTC case, for example, all you can say is, if you ask yourself, how long until the mining reward is not enough for the miners, and that depends on price. So because the price is too low, so there's no reason to get those BTCs. There's no enough incentives, but in order to know to guess the time frame, you will have to guess the price, and guessing prices is something that Austrian economics tell us that it's impossible, and all you can do is speculate and try to make the best decision possible. But predictions in the market are mostly just predictions.
Yeah, well, that's right, and that's why it's so not effective, but compelling to me to see something like this conference, because that's just so undeniable, right? If your metric for adoption is how many cryptocurrencies have a conference in a place where we said, okay, maybe even 5% adoption, is there any other cryptocurrency that can do that? Maybe Bitcoin in El Salvador?
No, especially
maybe.
What is special about this is the actual reason why we are here. Because we are not here just because we feel special, because we have some BCH in our wallets. This is not about that. It's like we have some BCH in our wallets, we use it all the time, but this is not. We don't come here to act like some kind of cult. We are here to see where this is actually going, and to talk with people in the ecosystem face to face, and to see, okay, guys, what are we actually doing to make this happen? And I don't see anyone on the something like the BTC conventions, where actually a convention happened. I believe that last week.
They had a Lugano one or something.
Yeah, something
with the tether people.
Something in Argentina happened if you look at the speakers in the conference and also the sponsors in which Mastercard is included.
Cash App. You can't pay with Bitcoin, so you have to pay with Cash App.
Kind of. Yeah. First of all, yeah, you won't have any Bitcoin trading or merchant
Like transactions, yeah.
transactions happening there at all, because that's like blasphemy, you know. Now the chief of government of Buenos Aires, which is like a hard, I don't want to call it a hard lefty, because he's kind of that, but at the end of the day, it's just like, it's like the antithesis of freedom, you know. And the guy is gonna be
Authoritarian.
yeah, but hardcore, man. And he's gonna be talking in this big conf that is going on, and a few more guys like that you actually have to be a bit informed to know that freedom is not going on that path, and that convention has nothing to do with Bitcoin at all, and it's all just a marketing strategy, and that's all, and nothing is gonna come out of that. And sure, many people may become friends there and have a great time. I hope they do, but it's not the same. There is no common goal there. It's just, I hope this keeps going up so we can make money, and that's it.
Yeah, well, because I think we saw some of that today with the guy who was from the banking, and he was talking on that panel, and it started to get a bit tense, and there was a bit of pushback and people kind of arguing back, and like it wasn't like, I mean, there was a certain element of, okay, we're all here to do the same thing, but there was still a bit like, we're not sure that you guys are really here to do the same thing that we're talking about. And people were tense about that. Yeah, that's right. It came out, you know, people were pushing back, and I'm sure they were talking, we talked about it at lunch, definitely, but I'm sure other people were chatting about that, and that's kind of how it want to be, that if the bankers are, you know, it's an open community, they can come along, there's nothing stopping them from buying a ticket. I guess they'd have to own some Bitcoin Cash, but you know, if you're going to do that, then it has to be a sense that the community is just going to push back on you. If you're willing to join in the philosophy in its true spirit, that's fine. And if you're not, well, you're welcome to come along, but we're not going to be giving you an easy time or welcoming you in. Like it's going to be a pushback.
Yeah. We were saying earlier that shits float.
Yeah, they turn up. Turds rise to the surface. Yeah,
Exactly. So
that's a good one. Shit floats. Yeah.
if we keep or what's the word? Compass.
Yeah. Our internal compass. Yeah.
Compass, right? And we move towards that north that we call freedom.
Here we go. Get in here, Jett. Get in here.
All right, I cropped in, so I might not be in it, but there's some important symbology behind that too, because it's not just like the North Star; it's the brightest star, it's the highest point in the night, it's the abstraction of the most valuable thing, and I think like using that kind of phrasing creates. I mentioned this yesterday. It creates some lore to the community too, and I think that that's very important, and that can drive people.
Well, that's kind of where the history plays into it, though, I think. And that was sort of like, it was interesting to see today that the whole block size war and yada, 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 like that was mentioned. It wasn't a focus. It wasn't discussed. It wasn't everyone looking back in time. What happened then? Blah, 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 blah. Right. But Marcelo talked about it. Definitely a couple other people sort of touched on it. What happened in 2017. And we don't need to go back through all of that. But that has been sort of embedded into the community mentality, and it's kind of got to a good point where it's not being forgotten. It needs to be remembered, but without limiting what we're doing. You know, it was 95% looking forward and just a little 5% of just reminders of what happened in the past.
And it also, we should keep our eyes open, because the Bitcoin takeover was very well done. Like, we can see what happened, but for the most part it was pretty well done and successful, let's say. And now we have to fight that as well. It's like Now, not only we have to convince people to use Bitcoin, but we actually have to explain people what Bitcoin is in a lot more saturated ecosystem in which all kinds of things that has nothing to do with Bitcoin are going on, but still in a way is related to the history of Bitcoin. So all that noise, now we have to help people clear it out, and that's what I was trying to do with the documentary.
Great documentary, by the way. Anybody who hasn't seen this needs to look it up. Who Killed Bitcoin? Just watch it. That's the best single summary, the best 45 minutes you can do to get from I don't know what's going on to yeah, I got it. That's amazing.
Yeah, and that I did it mostly because when I started looking into Bitcoin Cash, I did it mostly because I saw a few people online talking about the fact that Bitcoin Cash is Bitcoin, and I was like, what is that supposed to mean? And when I started looking into it, I was like, oh, okay, so it makes sense. Bitcoin is not like a particular network of people mining a particular coin. Bitcoin is a technical project described in the white paper, and whatever works like the Bitcoin white paper described, that will be doing what Bitcoin is supposed to do, ergo being Bitcoin. It took me like half a year to fully understand that, and a lot of talking with the guys in the Bitcoin Cash Argentina community, and that's also another sign of how cool that is, the community, you know, because they are also gonna spend all the time you need explaining that to you, explaining everything that happened to you, and I was doing the exact same thing before, and then I said, you know what, I think I get it. I'm gonna keep looking into it, and I've been doing that ever since. But once it was clear for me, like the base structure of how Bitcoin works and how, especially how it gets to be peer-to-peer electronic cash. That was the thing, you know. What matters is not why Bitcoin exists, but what makes it operate as peer-to-peer electronic cash. So I get all the points together, and once I could see the whole picture, I said to myself, I think I can explain all of this with a video, and it will be nice because now you don't have to talk to people over and over again about the whole story, and you know, telling everything very incomplete because you cannot really show anything. You're not gonna have all the Reddit conversations and all the banned people that actually complain about the censorship and everything else. So it came really handy for many people. So it was also imperative to do the English version, which we did, and that's actually the most popular version because I guess
there's more English speakers in the world than Spanish speakers. It's just mathematics.
Yeah. So it was imperative, but we did it, and I think it made really good.
But I don't know if you know this, but we got a new arrival. Might be Max coming in here, but
I think I can throw a little rest.
Yeah. Maybe you can have a break. Yeah, Max, come and sit down. But one last thing before I let you have a break. I don't know if you know this, but at Pork Fest, which is the big libertarian meetup in New Hampshire, they played that documentary. Yeah. When I heard about that, I thought that is fucking amazing. There would have been, 50 or 100 or whatever of people who are already in the right mindset and understand the background of all the anti-government stuff, seeing that and just watching it start to finish, like that could have taken years for them to come to all those conclusions and understand all of that. And so it's being like, it's so distributable, it's so scalable in that way.
Yeah, when that kind of thing happened, like, hey, your documentary is being projected in the US, like, okay.
You're making the big time, man.
I have a really small channel. And,
sit down.
And everything I do is like, it has a really small audience. So, doing something and in a way seeing it act that way, like that documentary is no longer mine. It's like now it's a tool for the community. You just share it and people will thank you for it after. And actually, Jeffrey Tucker talked about it also, and seeing someone like Jeffrey Tucker, who we even know in Argentina, because it's not that big, but he's pretty famous. And seeing that guy talk about my legal documentary that I made from my computer in Argentina in a small house when I was editing without no one knowing me, it's like it was quite fun and exciting. It's motivating. That's why I'm trying to do more. And I let you with Max.
Yes, I was on the show before. I don't know if some people remember me, but yeah, it was good. Good conference. The adoption, though, I don't think it's 50%. I think I think you mentioned that earlier.
Yeah. Well, what number did you put it at? Just look on the mic.
Oh, okay.
It's here. Here's where the mic is.
Oh, that's the front. Okay.
Yeah.
I was trying to look for the green dot right there.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
That's how,
There we go. Test. There we go. Yeah, so I was thinking, I bet the adoption, if we went into like the inland of, like the downtown of St. Kitts, like how many merchants down there are, using or accept Bitcoin Cash, or even if locals, how many of the locals are using Bitcoin Cash? I'd be surprised if it's a lot or if it's like 50%. I feel like it's more probably just around here that are accepting the tourist area with the hotels and everything. But I mean, maybe I'm here for the next few days, so we should, if we want to take a trip down there. I don't know. Did you guys take it down down there yet?
Been up to like the fortress.
Yeah, I said we should like. Yeah, we should like just go downtown where all.
Did you go to Port Zante yet?
No, I have not.
Oh, okay, all right.
We should just go somewhere where like I don't know. Yeah.
BCH.
Oh, you did. So
In the
was that
tourist area.
was that farther away? Oh, the ports. Oh, okay. Yeah.
So there is quite a bit. There's a decent amount of BCH adoption.
Okay.
But it's interesting because it's like touristy BCH adoption. So it's all the like touristy shops where the prices are higher and they're selling like sunscreen and like I got these sunglasses.
So you guys took like a taxi down to the port area. Okay.
Shout out to Major K too for accepted Bitcoin Cash.
Yeah, shout out to Major Kelly, who is the taxi driver that we've been using. Here we go. We can
okay.
show his details on screen. Anybody who's going to St. Kitts in future should hit him up and check it out because he's amazing and he has a big like taxi cab thing. You can have like 8 people in it. And he was loving it. He was telling us he was loving Bitcoin Cash because he was getting like business out of it, right? And now he's known, so we called him up, and then from that he said that he was starting to onboard the other taxi merchants because they were saying, "Why are you getting all the jobs?"
Yeah.
Right? So they wanted to be involved. So then he was getting them the wallet and sending them some.
So there you go.
Explaining,
So it's
starting to spread, right? Not massively yet.
Yes.
But it's happening.
So the more users there are for, or the more tourists or whoever's using the Bitcoin Cash is causing that demand. Like, hey, if you start accepting it, you're going to get more customers. So yeah, that's good to hear. I think our taxi driver, when we arrived, I think his name David asked. He's like, "Do you guys accept Bitcoin Cash, or do you accept Bitcoin Cash?" And the taxi drivers, I don't know if he said like you heard of it or something, but he's just like, "No, just give me U.S. dollars."
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, that was like the first impression. I'm like, oh no, I was expecting the taxi driver to be like, yeah, let's go. Yeah. But that's good that you have you found a taxi driver that accepts Bitcoin Cash, and it sounds like if he's has a positive experience, he's word of mouth is powerful. So it sounds like that's good. That's happening here. It'd be interesting to come back here like 1 or 2 years from now, or however long, to see how has it grown, right? Like if we go downtown and stuff and start asking how many, kind of just get a rough idea, 30%, 40% or whatever of merchants, come back another year later, has a number changed, and then see what the progress is like. Because I'm always about numbers at the end of the day, right? It's like, is the adoption going from 10 to 20 to 40 to 80 month after month, or every 6 months or whatever? It'd be cool to see that, because then you know it's working.
Yeah, well, it remains to be seen because the community is sort of organically going
Yes, it's hard to measure it.
Like rhythm in terms of the conferences, right? I think that's an interesting like meta point here, because there was the fork in 2017, and then I don't know, was there a 2018 BCH conference or event or some kind?
When was Townsville? 2018?
Well, that was 2019.
Okay. No, then nothing.
So maybe there was nothing in 2018. Maybe everybody was busy fighting with Bitcoin SV or whatever. So there wasn't one. Then in 2019, there was the Bitcoin Cash City Conference in Townsville, and that was like a success. But then there was COVID for 2020 and 2021, and now 2022, we've had St. Kitts. So I've heard suggestions like, I hope if they do another one in 1 year, I'll for sure come back.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Like, I'm down for that. But it remains a question is, are we going to rotate around? Are we going to go to South Florida where there's a lot of adoption? Like, maybe, or do another one in Townsville? Like, there could be a rotation like that. Or it might end up being like, is there enough community interest to do 2 a year? Could we do one?
They should do it. They should do it whoever gets legal tender first. That's where the next conference should be.
Yeah. Well, what's your...
That would be exciting.
What are you betting for, St. Martin or St. Kitts? Which one first?
I don't know. I mean, like, I have... well, it sounds like maybe St. Martin sounds like they need it, because I heard one of the issues happening there is that they can't have the ATMs down there because...
$15 fees for $100 in an ATM is...
Yeah, but I'm saying like the Bitcoin Cash ATMs, they don't allow them down there yet because the laws are more strict in St. Martin. And St. Kitts, I guess it's they don't need that legal framework to have the ATMs here, so everything's like no one cares, like okay, whatever. But St. Martin, it's like whoa, what is that? You can't have that until there's the legislation comes through. So St. Martin needs that framework. It seems more than because St. Kitts looks like you don't even need the legal framework. It looks like everyone's like okay, like there's no authorities coming down and say whoa, what's going on, kids? But in St. Martin, it sounds like they need the legal framework to accelerate the adoption.
Yeah, I mean, I guess from the outside, and especially the tourists.
I evaded that question basically, but that's because I didn't know the answer.
But the thing is, like, people are excited about the legal tender because it plays into the broader world, right? That, like we've talked about it before, that means that then Bitcoin Cash would be one of only 2 cryptos, along with Bitcoin BTC, the legal tender anywhere.
That would be very crazy.
We've done it the non-mandatory way.
Yes.
We've done the true cypherpunk way, and with some like proper adoption to go with it, and all of that, right? That's just such a different...
I don't even know if were people in El Salvador, I mean, I know it says you must accept Bitcoin, but somehow just like laws, and just like in the US, for example, like jaywalking is illegal, but who really enforces that law? So was like the law being enforced where if someone didn't accept Bitcoin, someone call the police and be like, this person doesn't accept Bitcoin, fine them or something? Well, I wonder if it was even enforced, or if just no one gave a crap.
Well, it seems like on average it hasn't been enforced.
Okay, yeah.
Kaylee was even tweeting out like, this is not, we're not sort of enforcing it, or we said it was mandatory, but we didn't really kind of mean that, and like walking it back.
They realize it's like half broken. It's like, they go back to the way they were transacting.
But that's it. They were just sort of like, fuck.
Yeah.
Just go back to using dollars or whatever, and all those separate opinion pieces that have come through with people going to St. Martin, not to St. Martin, to El Salvador, and checking it out for themselves, and kind of writing like over in Bloomberg, like 1 year later, Bitcoin's kind of falling apart. Obviously, like they need
to come down here. Like Bloomberg, where are you at?
Well, that's right. Hopefully this event,
this illegal tender should be like, that has to get mainstream news, right? If that happens next year or something.
Yeah. I mean, at some point it's got to like break through and become the trending news story.
It'll be one of those things where just like not much activity, and then
Suddenly,
boom, and then the price also would go up probably.
Imagine the narrative of something like that, though, because those articles, they're always trying to sort of link them back to their, when you read one of their articles, they always have like blah 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 blah, as we reported before, like da 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 da, this previous one. Can you imagine if they putting forward a narrative which is like, 2 years after Bitcoin was popping off in El Salvador and it was going to change the world, we went back 1 year later and it wasn't really working. But a year after that, its scrappy younger cousin competitor, Bitcoin Cash, has like
Well, the news,
forged its own
the
path.
the news loves drama, right? Like the news, the more people like an underdog story and like drama. So I mean, if they can make a story very, very interesting and dramatic and controversial, they'll do it. Like that, because it's all about, in the end, for media, it's always about ratings, right? More clicks equals more money for them. So if you can make it more controversial or interesting, they're gonna do it. The clickbait titles and stuff.
Yeah, but that's exactly how it is.
Underdog Bitcoin Cash takes over El Salvador. The bigger brother of Bitcoin is failing or whatever. However, this clickbait title would be, like, people would be like, what's going on?
Dude, that would be so hype, and you can imagine how under the skin that would get
Yeah.
of all the Bitcoin BTC people who
Oh.
for years
That'd be a good day on Twitter.
Ahead, you guys are trash, blah 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 blah, and it's just
If you see that news,
punch back, you know.
if you see that news comes out, you just grab the popcorn, go on Twitter, just eat the popcorn. Yeah, what's gonna happen?
Retweet a couple, like a couple
Yeah.
of posts, you know, stir the pot a bit, you know.
That'd be a funny day.
It's gonna be like Christmas, you know. It's gonna be
Yeah, I mean,
Get in,
Go ahead.
get in.
Yeah, real quick. So if anyone was paying attention to Twitter and they saw that Bitcoin Cash was trending, we should try and keep that momentum going, because it's like almost self-fulfilling. You'll get people that'll hop on a hashtag just because it's trending and it's crypto related, and that makes it even more trending, right? So if we can just, I think this was a little bit of a push. If we give it a bigger push, maybe next year, whatever the case might be, it will be like people will have to put their eyes on it.
But I think that's exactly what it is. So right now, and I was talking to people about this too. Let's say, I don't know how many was at the conference, right? But like 150 or 200, something like that, right? Like in that sort of range, let's say roughly. And then the BTC Miami 2022 was like 20,000 people, right? So it's like 2 orders of magnitude, basically a difference. But there's 2 very important key distinctors there. So one is having a conference in St. Kitts very different to having it in Miami, because Miami's just so much closer in America, so many more people can get to it, blah, blah, blah. You know, a lot of, even with the vaccine requirements and so on and so forth at that time, right? So this is like the harder version of running everything. And then obviously, secondly, we're obviously also the smaller community. So by default, there's not going to be as much, you know, hype and everybody like piling into it. And it's newer as well too.
Yeah.
The previous one, they've run it like, they've been running it since I think 2013 or something like that. So they've been running that conference.
the Bitcoin conference,
for like, 9 years. And this is either like the first or maybe spiritually the second Bitcoin Cash one after that one in 2019. So yeah, I can just see that next year, if what we had this year, if we have next year and it's like 3x the size or like 5x the size, like that's...
yeah. Like, how many people do you think were here today? Like about 70-ish, maybe 70 or 80 attendees.
well, I would say
Maybe 100. Maybe 100. Yeah, if you want to like round it up. 100.
I mean,
I try to like estimate, and then I'm thinking, I would say 70, but yeah, we can say 100.
well, I mean, because I think there's like 50 people in the attendees Telegram
Yeah.
group, right? That doesn't even include
Oh, I
anyone
see.
attending, because there's like, you know, people who aren't in the group for a bunch of reasons, or people's like, you know, wives or whatever. Like, there's a bit of that going on
Yeah.
as well too. Then you have all the, like, some of the speakers and stuff are not in there, obviously, and then there was a bunch of the locals who kind of came along and were involved, and then there was even like the, you know, the staff that are like running the booths and the
Oh, you're counting them.
handing out the lanyards and stuff. Well, they're all in there. They're all in the room. They're all listening to the talk.
Oh, true. Yeah.
I mean,
I meant
they
like,
buy it-
well, I meant they were working. Yeah, I'm saying the ones that bought the ticket and came. I guess that's what I was kind of
But if
going.
you work an event like
Yeah.
you're going to be taking this whole Bitcoin Cash
True. Oh, yeah,
very
yeah.
seriously. I would imagine that they're...
That'd be interesting to know what they think about it. You know, if you know, locals' opinions would be the most interesting to hear, right?
Yeah. Well,
How is it working for them? Is it, you know, maybe any improvements that can be made? Because yeah, I mean, from the U.S., all I do is I use Visa and MasterCard still, so I'm not even, you know, like, it's just so more convenient. But from here, you know, in more of a cash-based system, you know, maybe Bitcoin Cash, and also it looks like a lot of international payments are made, right? What do they call that when they're sending abroad remittances? So stuff like that to learn more about. Because right, if you don't want to stand in line for an hour for normal international payment, Bitcoin Cash is the way to go, right? What is it, like a sub, 1/10 of a penny to do it? Yeah, 120. Oh yeah, with those prices. Yeah, basically not even existent.
Yeah.
You could.
As our price goes up, oh no, our fees
That's a good problem to have.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. Going up, we got to go up massively, and then they'll just lower the fees anyway. So
Yeah.
it's all good in that regard.
Or do a quick loop around, see if there's anyone else.
Yeah. Is anybody else?
At about like we're gonna have to go off for dinner at
Yeah.
whatever it is.
We
7:30.
gotta be there for 7:30 at the
Yeah.
latest. So.
But was that everyone, or was that just like
That's
the
All the tickets
super
except the
expensive
local
tickets?
Yes.
The local tickets. I didn't even realize there was local tickets.
Yeah, they're the no frill tickets for like $150.
Okay, all right. Well, okay, so we're gonna be there at 7:30. So
Yeah.
just gonna have a poke around outside and see whether or not anyone else wants to like get in on the stream. Just quickly, we did like tell a bunch of people like drop.
Yeah, I was hoping Sonny and Bryson were gonna come through. I was on my phone waiting for them to just barge in.
I'm sure it's one of those things like,
Oh, they're busy.
that would be cool, and then they get caught up with, MP Bryson, can I talk
Yeah.
about
Oh,
this
yeah.
legal thing, and the blah, blah, blah.
Everyone wants to talk. Yeah.
Yeah, and things just carry on.
Maybe. Yeah.
But anyway, all that is to say, we might stop the stream in like 5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
So we got a chance to get ready and go for that. But otherwise, so what do you think overall then? Like from your expectation, let's say 1 week ago before landing,
Yeah.
do you think you got your value for money, or how?
Oh, I mean, I'm enjoying my time here. I'm meeting all the people that I've talked to on Telegram or just worked with a little bit back, a few years ago, or just like you with on the podcast. Like it's nice to see everybody in person, and also first time traveling internationally. So there's a lot of benefits. And right now, I think where the temperature where my house is like 30 degrees right now. So it's nice, much nicer weather right now. So it's nice to get out and enjoy the weather, enjoy the
Fahrenheit or something?
Fahrenheit. Yeah. So
Okay,
yeah. Celsius would be very hot.
Celsius.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm American. I'm using Fahrenheit and imperial.
It's about 18 to 20 degrees Celsius here. I have no idea what that is Fahrenheit, but that's like 7.
It's like 8. Well, it's like 85 degrees Fahrenheit.
It's like a nice warm temperature.
Yeah. So basically, if I'm gonna convert to Celsius, it's like basically like what -2 Celsius right now in my house.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
It's cold.
To a tropical island.
Yes. So I'm enjoying that, and yeah. So I like it. What I want to see though is if we can go, maybe a day or two from now, downtown to the ports, even the touristy areas. I guess just like go to random shops, coffee shops or any kind of shop, and just to see how the adoption is, or talk to some locals and ask them, why do you use Bitcoin Cash? Why aren't you, why don't you just still use how you were doing before, U.S. dollars or your local currency? Just to kind of see, then I'll be impressed if it's if I see if I'm walking down the street and I see half the shops saying Bitcoin Cash accepted here, I will be like, yeah, I don't know, you were down, you kind of okay. So I haven't seen that yet. I just been around the hotel, so it's I'm not super excited yet.
Like on that strip outside, so we're at the hotel, and then outside there's kind of that little strip of shops.
Yeah.
There's probably 6 shops there, and
Yes.
them except BCH, so it kind of is like that, right?
Yes, over here, yeah. But it would be just go a different part of the island and be like, is it actually happening over there too?
It's definitely not.
And then,
I think it's a point well made that we've talked about, that it's not I'm sure there's the more local areas but that will be the true test of it, is once it just spreads into those areas.
I mean, the most important thing isn't so much how much adoption there is today. It's more about, is there more adoption today than there was 3 months ago? 6 months ago? Is it trending up? Because that's all that matters, right? You can have 2 users on your app. Let's say you're making a startup, and then the next day you have 4, and then the next week you have 10, and that's all you want. You want a good growth. So if you could measure that at some point, that's what's going to matter, because it could be 1% of the island using it right now, and then a few months 2% of the island, 4% of the island, and then eventually, like you were saying, at 50%, you're almost at 100%. It's only going to be a couple more months, and then it's going to go to 100%.
It's going to be so much economic. Especially if the price starts going up.
Oh,
if the seed is already there, and then it's suddenly whoever was a bit more innovative or got in or got a few coins or something is suddenly holy cow, this little money I got and kind of forgot about, or just some tourist gave me or whatever, has just like tripled. Like
That will accelerate it. That's like a multiplier almost, probably.
Yeah.
If the price goes up, people will definitely want to use it.
people will be demanding it.
Yes,
Somebody outside
perhaps.
the jet?
There's
Okay,
some locals dancing down the splash bar.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, there was some good dancing last night as well too. That was a good little party at the full moon party as well too at the bar here. Everybody spending BCH and whatnot. So yeah, well I guess we might just like wrap it up then. The stream.
Yeah, get some dinner.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man. But
Yeah. Time for dinner.
and yeah, shout out to the chat, everyone that was watching the Bitcoin collab. Josh, B-Chad, and anybody else who was watching along too. That's it. Hope you've enjoyed our little ad hoc stream here, and Bitcoin Cash podcast, like full episodes probably kind of coming soon. Give it another couple of days at the conference, and then I think Jett and I will sit down with the laptops and get somebody on the show from the conference who's around and talk through it as well. So that's it. Good night. See you later.
See ya.